computer. All right, so we are going to work on solving inequality, okay? But before we actually work on inequality solving problem, I want to go over on the concept of flipping the inequality. Do you guys remember that? You must have done something like this in Algebra 1, but I think it's good to go over on the concept, okay? There are some cases where you have to flip the inequality sign. Yeah, maybe you've done it in your algebra class, Algebra 1 class, or maybe not. Maybe you have forgotten. Okay, not big deal. Okay, I'm going to go over. Okay. So I would like you to write this in your notes, okay, because it's important to understand the concept, okay, behind why you flip inequality signs sometimes, not always, okay. So, you know how when you are solving equation like a 2x plus 5 equals 10, now you have to subtract 5, or something like that, right? When you add or subtract, do you have to flip the inequality sign? Well, let's say you add 3, you get 7, and you get 13. Now, which side is bigger? Well, 13 is bigger, right? Well, so the point that I want to make right here is that by adding or subtracting a number from both sides, the inequality sign still maintains the same. So for subtracting 3, if you subtract 3 on both sides, you get 1 on the left side, you get 7 on the right side, and it's still right side is bigger than left side, isn't it? Okay. In other words, inequality sign stays the same. Yeah, it's less than, and it's still going to be less than. Okay, it's kind of obvious, right? You've got the balance. You've got 4 candies on the left arm, left side, left hand. You've got 10 candies on the right hand. And if you add 3 candies here and 3 candies here, it's still right arm has more candies. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. Or if you take 3 candies away from left hand, 3 candies from a right hand is still more, right? Because you're subtracting or adding equal amount. That's pretty obvious, right? How about multiplying or dividing, okay? So let's multiply by 2. You double it. Yeah, let's write this down. I know it sounds a pretty obvious fact, but eventually it will come to the point where you have to flip the sign, okay? So you double it. You have a 4 and you've got 10 candies and you're going to double it. You get 8 and you get 20 now. It's still right hand is bigger, isn't it? And obviously, right? Somebody just came in. Now, how about you if you divide? Divide by 2. Let's divide by 2. Let's divide by 2. You still get, it's still right hand is bigger, right, than left hand. Okay. So far, it's pretty intuitive and pretty obvious. But then here's the case where you have to flip. Well, let's find out. How about if you multiply both sides by -2 or both sides by negative 2, divide by negative 2, or negative number. Okay, let's see what happens. So I'm going to multiply by negative 2, multiply both sides by negative 2. Okay, now what happens here? What's a 4 times negative 2? It's negative 8. Okay? What's 10 times negative 2? That's negative 20. Now let me ask you guys, which side is bigger? Which number is bigger? Is it negative 8 or negative 20? Does everybody agree? Negative 8 is a bigger number than negative 20 because negative 8 is lesser negative than negative 20, isn't it? Okay? In other words, less negative is bigger than more negative. Yeah, does that make sense? So what happens to the inequality sign? It flips. Now left hand is bigger than a right hand now. Negative ace, left side is bigger than right side. Okay. It started out with right side 10. 10 it was bigger than 4, right? But when you multiply by negative numbers on both sides, now left side is bigger. So you have to flip the sign. When you multiply both sides by negative number. And same thing happens with a dividing by negative number. If I divide by negative 2 on both sides, 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. Now, which side is bigger? Negative 2 is bigger. Now, left side is bigger than right side. Okay. So that the alligator mouth, it has to flip. So just to summarize, so I guess the point that I wanted to make out of all this explanation is that I want you to remember that when you multiply or divide both sides of inequality by negative number, okay, then you have to flip the sign. If you're multiplying or dividing by positive number, which is right here, this case, inequality still stays the same. Okay? But when you multiply or divide by negative, you have to flip the sign. Okay. I'm going to give you about a minute to catch up on writing. Okay. I think it's important that you understand the concept behind why you flip the sign. And this is why. Okay. When you multiply or divide by negative, all of a sudden the left side becomes heavier or more than the right side. So you have to. You have to flip the sign. Is everybody okay? Can we move on? Do you need more time? Is everybody ready to move on? Can you indicate if you need more time? Okay. Anybody? Last call? Yeah. Let me know, okay, if you need more time to write things down or if you have any questions. If you don't want other people to see your questions, then just give me the send me the question directly to me so that nobody else will see it. Okay. I hope you feel comfortable asking questions. Okay. So let's work on some solving inequality here. Okay. So we're going to solve and then we're going to graph the solution set. Okay. It's the same thing as solving equation. Just if this inequality confuses you, just for right now, let's pretend that this is an equal sign. And you know how to solve the equations, right? So what would you do first? It's the same process. Okay. First, let's do this all together, okay? We're going to, don't we add 12 on both sides? Isn't that what you're going to do? Okay. And then that will be gone. So let's rewrite it. Okay. It's going to be 3x. And the right side is 27. And what are we going to do with the inequality sign? You just added both sides 12. Adding and subtracting, it's not going to change, right? So it's still less than, okay? Because you added 12 on the left side and 12 on the right side. It's still the same, okay? And then what are we going to do? We're going to divide by 3. Divide by 3. So x, and what are we going to do with the inequality sign? Yeah, these are all examples as a note, okay? These are not the assignment. Yeah. But I hope you are taking the notes. And what's 27 divided by 3? 9. Okay. And again, inequality still stays the same. It's still less than because you divided by positive 3. Okay. Okay. Right. Now, what does that mean? X is less than 9. How many answers, how many solutions are there? You know, so when you're solving an equation, you get x equals 9, right? And that's your answer. That means x is 9. There's one solution. X has to be 9, right? There's one number that works for x. And that is x, it has to be 9. And that's what that means, equal sign. But when you say x is less than 9, what does that mean? Yeah, I mean, think of this way. Think of a number that is less than 9. 8.99999, yeah, that's one number. What else? Send me the numbers. Write that, type in the number that is less than 9. Yeah, 6, 8.45, 4. How about negative 10, negative 11, negative 13, negative 1 million? So how many numbers can you think of a number that is less than 9? Infinitely many. There are so many numbers, okay? In other words, if you pick a number that is less than 9, it will work in this inequality. Okay. So if you put 4 in it, 3 times 4 minus 12, that should be less than 15. If you pick 8, 3 times 8 minus 12, that should be less than 15. It works, okay? So there are many, many solutions, but only the requirement is that x has to be less than 9. All the numbers less than 9 will work in this inequality. That's what inequality is, okay? Now, to show this solution, you need to be able to write this in a graph, okay? And this is what I want you to do. Well, actually, and I hope you've done something like this. So let's just put 0 as a reference, and then 9 should be on the right side of a 0, right? And then to indicate the solution, you can indicate your solution as a number line set. It tells you that the solution is all less than 9, okay? Now, also one more question, important question. Can 9 be the solution? Is 9 included as a part of the solution? The answer is no, okay? X has to be less than 9, but X cannot be equal to 9. So for that, the circle right here, the circle is left open circle. It's called open circle. Okay. All right. That's right. Very good. Okay. Let's actually put equal sign right here. Okay, let's do another one. B. You guys want to try this B on your own? I'll give you a minute to solve for X, okay? Now, why don't you indicate your solution in the chat? Again, everybody should be working on B right now. Okay, it's been a minute. How did it go? Does anybody have any solutions? What did you get? Okay, great. Anybody else? Well, okay, very good. Thank you. It's okay. You're not trying to prove anything right now. Okay, you're trying to learn something, right? So don't be afraid to make mistakes here. Okay, mistakes is how you improve, right? Remember that. Okay, you learn by making mistakes. Okay, correct answer is a good affirmation that you're on the right track, right? But when you make mistakes, you have a chance to correct yourself. Okay, so first you're going to distribute. Did anybody add 6? Did anybody do 6 plus 5 and 11? And then you distributed 11 and you got like a funky number, right? Funky solutions. Did anybody try that? That's really tempting, isn't it? But when you cannot add 6 and 5 yet, but you have to distribute, okay? Because distributing means multiply, isn't it? Multiplication, division comes before addition and subtraction, right? And so you don't want to do that. So you got to distribute. Okay. So that's kind of a little tricky question, isn't it? As a matter of fact. And then you do 6 plus 10. They're on the same side, same team. So let's just combine that. That's 16. So 16 minus 5x is less than or equal to 41. Do you agree with that so far? And then what do we do next? Now I subtract 16. So if you're already on made a mistake, let's try to fix it right now, okay? So what do we have? Negative 5x is less than or equal to, what is that? 25? 25? Yeah. And notice that inequality sign is still the same. It's all the same, okay? But now, because you're subtracting it, right? And subtracting 16 on both sides, you're not going to change that sign, okay? Next, what are we going to do? We're going to divide both sides by what? We're going to divide both sides by negative 5. And what do you have to do when you divide both sides by negative number? You're going to flip the sign. So your answer is going to be x is greater than or equal to negative 5. Not because the answer turned out to be negative 5, but because you divided both sides by negative number. That's why you're going to flip the sign. Now, let's graph the solution set, okay? So here's a 0, and let's locate negative 5 over here, okay? And this time, we are going to fill the circle in. Why is that? Because there is the equal sign. You see that? Greater than or equal to. So you have to fill that. And then it has to be greater than negative 5. So we're going to shade this way. Now there is a little trick that you can use. That was the solution, right? One trick is that greater than sign, you pretend that that's an arrow, and that arrow is pointing that way, isn't it? Right? And so you can just extend the line to the same direction as the arrow, where the arrow is pointing. And since the arrow is pointing that way to the right, you're going to shade the right side of negative 5. Has anybody done something like this before in Algebra 1? Yes, no, okay, I see some yes, some no's. Yeah, it should be part of Algebra 1, but yeah. And it's been a while, yeah? Maybe remotely just remember, vaguely remember. Okay, let's keep going because I want to have a chance to work on the assignment too, quite a bit. So let's not do all the problem. That would be just a kind of busy work. Let's do the last question right here, E. Okay, you guys want to try that? I'll give you a minute to work on it. Be right back. Okay, how are you guys doing on this? Did you distribute 5 first? That's what I would do. Distribute, distribute. $35, 15y minus 15. You don't want to distribute 5 all the way to negative 15. That would be wrong because negative 15 is outside of a parentheses, right? You only distribute into the parentheses, okay? So that's that. That would be the first step. 35 minus 15. They're on the same side, same team. Let's simplify that. Okay. You want to try. So you've got 17 minus 2y is less than or equal to minus 15y. 35 minus 15 is positive 20, right? So that's what I would do next, okay? You can write 20 minus 15y. That would be okay too. Now I've got y on the left side, y on the right side of inequality. You can't have a both sides y. You need to get rid of one of them. Which one? You want to get rid of the smaller y's. In this case, more bigger negative number is more less, isn't it? So I'm going to add, let's change the color there. I'm going to add 15y, add 15y on both sides of inequality. I get 17 plus 13y is less than or equal to, that cancels out, 20. So yeah, we're going to get some funky number. Now I subtract 17. I subtract 17. So 13y is less than or equal to 3. And then divide by 13, divide by 13. Y is less than or equal to 3 over 13. Did anybody get that? It's not really a nice number solution, but you could get something like that. Now let's graph, okay? Every solution now you're going to graph. So here's a 0. Now 3 over 13, that's like a less than 1, isn't it, right? So here's the 1, let's say put 1. 3 over 13, where is that? Maybe somewhere around here. This doesn't need to be accurate, okay? But it's on the right side of a 0. Now you guys, everybody tell me, okay? Just speak out loud to the computer monitor. Is it gonna be open circle or closed circle? Which one? It will be open. When I say open means just circle, and closed means you fill it in. Open, and then this is a closed. It's going to be which one? It will be closed circle. Why? Because there is the equal sign right there. Okay? Closed will be equal sign. Open will be just less than or greater than. And then which way do we shade? We've got arrow pointing that way. So we're going to shade the left side. Some teachers ask students to like a shade like that. It doesn't matter. Just you can have your preference on how you shade, but you're shading left side. Okay, I think that's enough of examples. Okay, let's work on the assignment. I got quite a bit, so let's just get rid of a couple of questions here. Let's get rid of ten problems. I think we have enough to finish 10 problems. Let's get rid of a 10 and 11, 10 and 12 actually. Because some of the questions will go pretty quickly. Okay, are you guys ready? You ready for the assignment? Okay, let's work on number one. Okay, I want you to work on it. Let's skip number two. We don't need that. It's just kind of busy, same kind of a work problem. So everybody should be working on number one. Now we are working on assignment. Okay, and you're going to, for those who are new to the class, we are going to finish the assignment in class, and after that you're going to take a picture and then you're going to submit it. So make sure that you work on it. You can just keep working on your notes. Okay, you don't need to print out this worksheet or anything like that. Just keep working in your notes. So number one. And let's write down homework 1.3. Okay, would you write this down? Homework 1.3, so that I will know which assignment. When I see your picture to grade, I want to see those numbers. Okay, how are you doing, number one? Would you share the solution on the chat? What did you get for number one? Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you, Miranda, Haley, Gentry. So I'm going to get started on that. First, then you have to add 6, right? It's the same thing as solving equation, okay? But there's just one little tiny things that you have to be careful. Sometimes you have to flip the inequality sign, okay? Other than that, it's all the same process. So 3x is still greater than 33. Divide by 3, divide by 3. X is still greater than 11. Okay. And now you're going to graph. Okay. 0. Just put 11 right over there. Okay. Now, what kind of a circle do we need? Open or closed? Everybody tell me. It will be open circle. So just leave it open. And then which way do we shade? To the right or to the left? We are going to shade to the right, because the arrow is pointing that way, or x is greater than 11, right? Isn't that how you read it? The solution? Then you read x is greater than 11. Think of a number that is bigger, greater than 11. Isn't that 12, 13, 14, right? So you shade the right side. Okay. Number 3. Let's skip number 2. Okay, they're kind of same type of a question. Okay, 1 minute. And once you're done with number 3, just keep moving. You don't have to wait for me to move on to the next question, okay? Okay, it's been a minute, so I'm going to get started on this. So what would you do first? If I'm working on this problem, I would add 18 first. Is that what you did? Okay, so that is gone. You always want to get rid of a number that is floating by itself, is not attached to any variables. And negative 18, right? It's just floating by itself. So add 18. So I have negative 5y is less than or equal to, what is it? 70. Okay. Now what do we do next? You're going to divide both sides by what? Negative 5. Now what do we do when we divide both sides by negative number? You're going to flip the inequality. So this one, number 3, you have to flip the inequality to less than now. It used to be greater than, but now it's less than. What's 70 divided by 5? 14? Negative 14. So the answer is y is less than or equal to negative 14. Did everybody get that? Now let's graph. Here is a 0. Here is a 14, a negative 14. What kind of circle are we going to draw? Open or closed? This time it will be closed circle. Yeah, thank you, Miranda. And which way are we going to shade? We're going to shade to the left because the arrow is pointing to the left. How are you guys doing on that? Is everybody doing okay? Am I making any sense to you? Sometimes I feel a little uneasy of become a, what do you call it? I'm not so sure if you guys are getting this or not. Okay, let's move on. Number 4. So equation itself, they are not so terribly, let's get rid of number 6 as well because of the time. Maybe some of you might have already done it. Yeah. Okay, number 4. I think I need a haircut. Okay, how are you guys doing on number 4? I'm gonna get started on this. Distribute. Negative 20. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. It's 23. And then I'm going to add 5. So I get negative 20s is less than 28. And then I am going to divide both sides by negative 20. Now, what do you have to do when you divide both sides by negative number? You have to flip the sign. So S is greater than 20 divided by negative 20. What is that? 1.4? Negative 1.4. Right? Isn't that right? 1. Take a calculator. 28 divided by 20. 1.4. Okay. All right. It's negative 1.4. So again, you have to flip the inequality sign. Why? Not because the answer turned out to be negative 1.4. Not, that's not the reason, but because why? Because we divided both sides by a negative number. That's why you have to flip. Okay. Or 7/5. Very good. Now let's graph. 0. Let's just put negative 1.4. It's a negative number, so it's got to be left side of a 0, right? And is it open circle or closed circle? It will be open circle. And then we are shading to the right. Very good. Okay, let's keep going. Number 5. Yeah. They are not terribly difficult equation solving the inequality. Now, number 5 is an important question to go over because the variable is on the right side. N is on the right side of an inequality, isn't it? So there's something that I want you guys to be aware of. Okay, that's why it's included in the assignment there. But let's just solve it first, okay? I want you to work on it by yourself first. Did you guys, do you have to wake yourself up in the morning? think my son is still asleep. I hope he's not missing his classes. What's today? Today Wednesday. Wednesday. My son can sleep till 12 noon or even past noon if I don't wake him up. Oh, it's amazing how long he can sleep. Hmm. You know what? Now that I'm an old man, even if I go to bed after midnight, I still wake up at 6 or 7. I don't know. Okay, let's work on number 5. Okay, so distribute 6n plus 2 and plus 22. Okay, so 6n plus, let's combine that together, 24. So what do we do? Should we just keep n on the right side? Yeah, we can do that, right? So we're gonna solve it. So I'm gonna subtract 24 because n is on the right side. So subtract 24. So I get 6n, this negative 12. Yeah. And then, so I'm gonna just write that over here. Then I'm going to divide by 6. Divide by 6. The sign will not flip because you divided by positive 6. So you're not going to flip the sign, okay? And so that is the answer, okay? Now, you can just leave it as that. Now we can just graph it, right? The point that I wanted to make, I want you to be aware of is, first of all, it's going to be closed circle. Which way are we going to shade? Now you got to be careful about that. Everybody, everybody stop for a second? Which way are we going to shade on this solution right here? Let's say you've got this as a solution. Which way are you going to shade? Now, can we use the arrow trick? Hey, the arrow is pointing to the left. So are we going to shade to the left? The answer is no. That's a wrong answer. Okay. Because n is, this time is on the right side, isn't it? Now, if you were to rewrite it and bring n to the left side, the inequality should follow to where it is facing. This alligator mouth, right? Isn't that how you guys learned? Or the fish mouth is facing towards n, right? That means if you bring n to the left side, the fish mouth, alligator mouth, should be facing towards n as well. So now that n is on the left side, you can use that arrow trick. And the arrow is actually pointing to the right, isn't it? So you have to shade to the right. So it's important that you remember that, okay? The arrow trick does not work when the variable is on the right side. Or you can remember that it's going to be the opposite if variable is on the right side direction. Does that make sense? All right, let's keep going, guys. Number 7, 4 more to go. I'm going to start working on this. I don't have a lot of time. It's 32z minus 8, 344. Add 8, add 8. 32z is greater than or equal to, what is that, 352. And then I'm going to divide by 32. Is it divisible by 32? 352 divided by 32. It's 11. Thank you, Haley. So z is greater than or equal to 11. And it is going to be closed circle because there is the equal sign. And then the arrow is pointing to the right. It's greater than 11. So you shade to the right, okay? Yeah, I bet some of you are already done. If not, or am I going too slow? Where are you guys? Number 8. Okay, let's keep working. This one, 5x and a 7x, they're on the same team, same side. When that happens, you can just combine it. 5x plus 7x, what is that? Isn't that 12x? So let's rewrite it. 12x minus 8 is greater than 16. Add 8, add 8. 12x is greater than, what is that, 24? Divide by 12, divide by 12. X is still greater than 2. Is everybody okay on that? Very good, Gail. Zero, 2. Everybody tell me, open or close circle? It will be open circle. Which way should we shade? Should we shade to the right or to the left? We're going to shade it to the right because the arrow is pointing to the right. Okay. Number 9. You got 9R and 6R on the separate side, and we need to get rid of one of the R's. Which one? Smaller R, right? So I'm going to subtract 6R from both sides. Whoa, jumping around. That's gone. Oh, okay, my monitor is doing something weird here. Keep moving around. So 3r minus 12 is less than 36. Add 12. Add 12. So 3r equals, again, no flipping the sign, right? You're adding, subtracting, dividing by positive, then divide by 3, divide by 3. So r is less than or equal to, what is it? 16. Thank you. And then 16 is over here. Is it open circle or closed circle? It's going to be closed this time because there's an equal sign right there, okay? Then we're going to shade to the right or left. We're going to shade to the left. Now, last question, that is interesting. I guess I made this worksheet, right? Did everybody try on the last question, number 11? What did you guys get? What? Can you make any sense out of that? So you get distribute, right? You get 9n plus 18 is greater than 9n minus 27, right? And then we've got n on both sides. So let's subtract 9n. Subtract 9n. Now what happens? Now, is 18 greater than negative 27? Is that a true statement, first of all? It is, isn't it? Isn't 18 bigger than negative 27? Yeah. So, I mean, what do we say? The solution is it's any number, any real number. Meaning that any number will work. You can put any number that you can think of, 2.5 or even pi or square root of 2. You can put rational or irrational number, any real number for n will work. That's, yeah, how do we graph that? You can't really graph it. It's just basically everywhere, right? And actually, if you were to graph that, I'm not going to ask you something like this on the test, but if you were to graph, basically you shade everything. Okay. If, let's say, you solve the question and say, like, let's say 5 is greater than 10 or something like that. Let's say you get a like a solution like this. 5 is less than 10. Now, does it make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. That's a false statement, isn't it? Then you have to say no solution. This is an example, by the way. Okay. If you get the solution where it says 5 is greater than 10, it doesn't make sense. That's a false statement, isn't it? In other words, no solution exists for this inequality. Okay. But in this case, that's a true statement. 18 is greater than negative 27. That means that any number will work for this inequality. Okay. All right. Well, what do you guys think? I'm gonna do this pretty much every day, scale of 1 to 5. Where are you guys? 5, I've got this. 1, I have no clue. Where are you guys? Yeah, you've got it. Very good. All right, thank you. So please make sure that you take a picture of this and then submit it. If you still have a problem or a question about how to submit your assignment, please stick around and just ask me questions. I will teach you how to do that. Okay. Otherwise, have a great rest of the day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care, guys. Very good. Take care, guys. Have a great day. Okay, I will stop the recording.